Hey, my friends. I know I have been MIA. I owe y'all another video. I owe y'all another video. I told you that because I wasn't doing my weigh-ins that I wanted to make sure I got in the videos to you all. And so, yes, I'm going to do it right now. Okay, so we've already put out the video talking about the different weight loss tools. I believe that the other video I said I would share was about food noise. So let's go ahead and have a nice little discussion. I'm standing up because I was not expecting to be like, yeah, let's do it right now. It's 10 o'clock at night, but we're gonna do it. So the question was posed to me, how did I get over the food noise and how did I get to a healthy relationship with food? I want to talk about the first portion, which is the food noise. Food noise is when you are constantly thinking about food all the time. Even when you're not hungry, you're thinking about food. And it just feels like you can't quite get away from the noise. You know, this food noise, something that's always prompting you to want your next meal, think about your next meal, or something that you want to have soon, or something that you just finished having. Like there's no point in time where food is not on your mind. And I am very familiar with food noise. For me, I would say that the food noise, the noise itself, has not gone away. What has happened is that I now have other noise. And because I now have other noises, food noise cannot take up all of my space. And that's the way to say it, because I was gonna say I really want to try to break it down, but that's the way to say it, right? When I wasn't working out, when I wasn't tracking my food, when I wasn't reading my Bible, when I wasn't finding time to add in other things, the only noise that was happening was food. And so it took up all the time and the space that I had because I had no other noise. There was nothing else I was allowing to take up space the way I was allowing food to take up space. And so when I started to add these other things in, I'm going to church more often, I'm reading my word more, I am working out, I am meal prepping, which I don't necessarily put in with food noise because it's different. I'm thinking about how I'm putting together my meal plans, how I'm writing together my different things to help me, just so I can like have it set up. It's not the same as me sitting around like, oh my gosh, I really want a Reese's, I really want some chocolate. Ooh, if I do this like this, it's not the same. It's not the same. So because I now have all these other things, workouts that go in, going on walks, different things I want to have, the food noise can't take up all of the space that I allowed it to take up previously. And I love that. I love that. And there are moments where if for some reason I drop these things, the food noise goes back to increasing, because food is something you always eat. Unless you're fasting, you're always eating food. But if you do this long enough, right? If you get into the practice long enough of not allowing food to be the center of all that you do, not to be the center of all of who you are, you will notice that even when that food noise starts to increase, you easily replace it. You can easily say, oh, this is getting kind of loud, I'd rather just do this. And you could pick up something else and replace that section of noise. And it is a practice. You have to be diligent, but it makes all the difference. And so that is essentially how I navigate food noise. It's because now I have other things that fulfill that space. And because I've been doing this long enough, when I do feel that it's starting to increase, because for some reason I've dropped something somewhere else, I can pick something back up. I can replace it with something else and just, that's it. It goes back down in the volume. So that's how I have navigated, or how I am living with food noise. And then the second thing was food noise and a healthy relationship with food. So the very first thing I started to do to gain a healthy relationship with food was to stop categorizing food as good and bad. Stop that off rip. Because what's going to happen is that when you decide a certain food is bad and you happen to like that certain food, you're now internalizing that you are bad, or you're doing a bad thing when you have that bad food. You can't have a healthy relationship with food when you're consuming something you consider bad, because you innately would also be bad for consuming it. I'm not bad for consuming peanut butter Oreos. They're delicious. They're so good. I'm not bad for that. And the food itself is not a bad food. They're just better options. And this is how you start to gain a healthy relationship with food. You have to reframe how you see this food. And this is not easy to do, because the world is very good at telling you what you should think. It tells you every single day, every single second, this is what you should think about X, Y, and Z. And food is one of the loudest things that is telling you what to think about, right? It's telling you, if you decide to eat this particular food, you do not care about your body. If you decide to eat this particular food, you want to be fat. Or conversely, if you eat this particular type of food, you care about your body. Or if you eat this particular type of food, you want to be skinny or more fit, or whatever the case is. And these things are not inherently true just because. There are bodybuilders out there who eat Oreos. Their bodies look chiseled. They have Oreos. Now, do they eat them as often as you or I? Maybe not. But we don't look at them the way we look at ourselves, right? So once I started to go ahead and reframe how I actually viewed food, I was then able to make choices that helped me to feel better about how I was eating, right? Going back to the peanut butter Oreo, I used that because for me, peanut butter Oreos for a very long time was something I had no self-control with. So much so that I stopped purchasing it, because I knew that with all the discipline I had built up, them jokers was still tripping me up every single time. Tripping me up. And now I will typically have peanut butter Oreos in a small time frame once, sometimes twice a year, but usually once. And it's around my birthday. Because that's the only time that I allow myself to celebrate in a certain kind of way. In a way that I'm not concerned about how much peanut butter Oreos I'm consuming. I don't feel bad when I have it, because now I have a healthier relationship with food. Sometimes I can have a peanut butter Oreo. I'm going to be just fine, right? And so I have been able to practice this actively. If I decide that I want a hamburger or a cheeseburger, I can decide whether it's worth it for me to go get that out, made somewhere, or if it's worth it to me to have it at home and make it myself. Either way, I'm having a food that I like to label as a fun food. And it's fun because sometimes your food is boring. Most of the time, my food is boring. I used to ask myself all the time, why don't you do more of what I eat in days, what I eat in days? Because my food be boring. Why? Because I just need it for fuel. I don't need it to do anything other than fuel me. And as long as it's seasoned well, it will taste good to me. I'm going to be just fine. That's another part of having a healthy relationship with food, realizing that every single time you eat, it don't need to be no 5-star gourmet meal. Every time you eat, it doesn't need to be like, ooh, I just picked it, I just chefed this up, or somebody cooked this for me and I ain't had to slave, and it don't have to be none of that. Sometimes the food is going to be boring, and as long as it's tasty to you, that's okay that it's boring. It's perfectly fine. And then when you have those fun foods, you're like, oh, this was fun. I'm glad I decided to go get this Chinese food versus trying to do something on my own at home. It was fun that I did this. I don't do this often. Because on the grand scheme of things, we can make anything good for us and anything bad for us, depending upon how you eat it. If you're eating 5,000 strawberries a day, exaggerated, but if you're eating 5,000 strawberries a day, that's not going to be good for you. It's 5,000 strawberries. It's not going to be good for you. But are strawberries bad? You see what I'm saying? So if we start to get into the labeling of what's good for you, what's bad for you, you can trip yourself up very quickly. It will not be healthy for you in terms of food, right? And we have to eat. So you don't want to have a relationship with food that is going to be detrimental to how you progress in your health, right? You don't want that. When they're out here recalling, they out here recalling lettuce, they out here recalling broccoli, they out here recalling anything under the sun. If you're gonna recall a green leafy vegetable, you better believe every now and then I'm having a Reese's peanut butter cup. You better know it. Because what's good, what's bad? It's all in the balance. And this I kind of compare it to how I see the scale. I have this notion about the scale that the scale is an inanimate object, which it is. I don't have to allow the scale to put me in any kind of mood. It's a thing. It's a thing. The emotions, the feelings, everything that happens when I step on the scale and see a number, that's all on me. The scale does not give me that. But because we feel so strongly about whatever we see when we step on the scale, we then attach these feelings to the scale. And that's why a lot of us can end up blowing up in our size, because we're afraid to step on the scales because of the emotions that are attached, not realizing that the emotions are with us. They're not with the scale. The emotions are with us. Excuse me. So you can choose to step on the scale and not have those emotions attached. You don't need to have fear associated with this inanimate object. It's the same thing with food. You don't need to have fear associated with this thing, this apple, this peanut butter, this Oreo. You don't need to have fear associated with that. You just need to be educated about what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And don't let the outside world crowd you with their thoughts, because a lot of those thoughts are not healthy thoughts to have about food. Food is meant for fuel. Let's strip away all these other things that food has become, or we're told that food is supposed to be, and bring it back down to the basics of food. It's meant to fuel your body. Sometimes the fuel will be fun, sometimes it's going to be boring, but you just have to figure out what works best for you. Because if you figure out what works best for you, you will have longevity. You will no longer be afraid to take a week off for your birthday and eat like you don't have no sense. You won't be afraid of that. And I say that to you as someone who was supposed to step on the scale this morning and did not. Did not do it. I'm still holding a lot of water. I know it because I can see it in my feet. But tomorrow I'll step on the scale, because the scale is a thing, just like food is just a thing. It's another tool to help us on this journey. And I don't want to be afraid of eating. I don't want to be afraid of the food that I eat, because it is not on the food. The food does not just end up in my house. I purchased the food. What do I look like purchasing food that's going to make me feel like crap because I don't have a good relationship with food, when I could just purchase food and be aware of what I'm doing when I decide to have that apple versus that Oreo? I just think it's helpful to think that way, and to have a truly healthy relationship with food, because we need it to survive. So why not make it the best relationship that it can be for you? Right. So that is it. That's the conversation. And with that, I've been able to have the talks with you this week that I said I wanted to have with you this week while I wasn't weighing in. And tomorrow we go back to weigh-ins. We also go back to working out. I did tell my friends over on TikTok and Instagram that I might take a couple days of just rest from food, just because I'm back to feeling very large and very in charge. And when I feel that way, like not large and in charge because I've been eating like crap, but large and in charge because of all the sodium, my body feels like it doesn't need to eat. And there's a difference. I'm not talking about I just feel like I've gotten fat. I am fat. So I don't fast because of that. I fast because my body literally feels like it really can't take in any more food. And I'm like, well, if we can't take in any more food, we're just not gonna eat. And usually after about 3 days, my body's like, this was wonderful. Thank you so much. We just need a little break. So we'll see what we're chatting about tomorrow. I do think that might be the case, but in no matter what, back to the workouts. We have starting tomorrow officially 7 days until we are at our 2-year marker. I was hoping to hit 100 pounds down by then. You know, that's 241.8. I figured around 2 weeks ago that wasn't going to happen. It was just too much back and forth with me and the scale. Y'all know, y'all remember the numbers. It just didn't want to, unfortunately. But that's okay, because no matter what, no matter when, I'm going to hit 241.8 and go lower than that. We're going to hit our target goal of 200 pounds. So that is where we are. I do have some things that I am reevaluating, so I'm excited to talk to you all about that. But that is where we are for now. I still owe you another conversation about maintenance. So moving from weight loss into weight maintenance, because the more that I think about it, that's going to be a lot closer to me than it is farther from me, which I'm really excited to think about. But anyway, that is where we are. Happy Sunday. I know this one is long. These conversations usually are, but I do like having some more in-depth conversations with you all here. So, let me know if you have any questions, anything else in particular you would like for me to talk about. I'm super thankful for all of you. Yeah, I hope everyone had a great Sunday. Have a great night.